Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today's deck is going to focus around the Mega Gardevoir EX as the main attacker of our deck. However, this is a card that you guys have already seen, so I'm not really going to be focusing on him too much, at least with respects to the deck description. I mean, you guys are quite aware that the Brilliant Arrow attack can hit for quite a bit of damage. It enables us to hit 30 damage times the number of Fairy Energy cards attached to all of our Pokemon. So this is going to be our star attacker in the deck, and the star supporter Pokemon in our deck is going to be the Togekiss with the Serene Grace ability. So this is a very cool Pokemon. Whenever we evolve the Togetic into the Togepiss, the Togekiss, you can use the Serene Grace ability to look at the top 8 cards of our deck, and any basic energy cards that we find there, we can attach them to any of our Pokemon in any way we like. So Togekiss is a very cool Pokemon. It's pretty much what's going to accelerate our whole deck setup, and what's going to make Mega Gardevoir EX a very difficult Pokemon to deal with. So I really do like the Togekiss. I mean, it does eat up quite a bit of deck space, but I feel like it's a very worthwhile addition to this type of deck. So we are running a total of 3 copies of the Togekiss. I'm not really going to be focusing on talking about the Togetix or the Togepi. Don't really feel like they really need all that much discussing. Same with the Gardevoir EX. Not exactly the best attacker. Its whole purpose is to eventually evolve into the Mega Gardevoir EX, which is going to be the star of our deck. So we're not really going to be using Gardevoir EX all that much. However, from time to time, we could always use its Life Leap attack. Not exactly the greatest attack, only allows us to hit for a mere 20 damage, and Shining Wind allows us to hit for 100 damage, so not too bad. And during the next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness, so it could be kind of nice in case we are encountering some sort of Steel-type deck. The very last Pokemon, guys, in our deck is going to be another supporter type. This is going to be the Shaman EX with the setup ability. So whenever we do lay it down from our hand onto the field, we are able to draw until we have up to 6 cards in our hand. So Shaman EX is a very nice card. We are running 3 copies of it. Just because our bench space is going to be relatively tight, Shaman EX, the only way that I really found it worthwhile to be included in this type of deck is through the inclusion of a total of 3 copies of the Skyfield Stadium card. I mean, I had initially tested this deck out with a Fairy Garden variant, but I didn't really feel like it was all that worthwhile, so I definitely would recommend the Skyfield as opposed to the Fairy Garden Stadium card. So that's why we're running a total of 3 copies of the Skyfield in our deck. The A-Spec in our deck is going to be the Computer Search. I felt like it was the best one just because we have a very speedy deck, and we always do have Lysander's Trump cards, so we can always easily recycle our cards. I feel like once the Lysander's Trump card does get rotated, then maybe running the Dowsing Machine maybe a little bit better than the Computer Search with respects to this deck. But again, currently we do have the Lysander's Trump card, so I feel like the Computer Search is the way to go. So that's why we are including it as our A-Spec. Most of our cards in our deck are pretty self-explanatory, guys, so I'm going to be going through them relatively quickly. We are running a single copy of the Starling Megaphone just to get rid of all attachments to any of our opponent's Pokemon. Namely speaking, this is our main anti-Garbodor counter. We are running a single switch to allow us to switch in between our Pokemon for Ultra Balls to be able to grab onto any of the Pokemon that we need. 3 VS Seekers will allow us to reuse any of our supporter cards. We're running a total of 8 draw supporters. 1 of them is the Colress, 3 of them is the Ends, and 4 of them are the Junipers. We are running 2 copies of the Lysander to lure out any of our opponent's bench Pokemon. A single Lysander's Trump card will allow us to reuse our cards all over again. 3 Gardevoir Spirit Links doesn't really need a whole lot of describing, and we're running a total of 14 energy cards. So with that, guys, we're gonna go and find ourselves an opponent. I have to say that ever since I decided to scrap out the Fairy Garden from this deck, it's been performing exponentially better, so I would highly recommend not really running any Fairy Gardens, guys. I mean, at the very least, I mean, if you guys really want that the option of switching in between the Pokemon, I feel like just running some copies of Switch is much more worthwhile as opposed to the Fairy Garden, just from my experience, because Skyfield seems to be a lot more useful just on the whole with respects to our deck's function. Alright, so it looks like our opponent is going to start first, and we're going to start off with the Gardevoir EX as our active Pokemon. Not exactly the greatest start. I'm probably going to use the N. I'd love to get down a couple of Togepis. Again, they're crucial to our deck's integrity. Once we do get that energy acceleration going, that's when Mega Gardevoir EX can hit for some big damage. Not really sure what our opponent is saying. I'm just going to wish them good luck. And it looks like we're going to see the Zubat as our opponent's active Pokemon, so this could be a bit troubling in case we are facing a Landorus EX Crobat type deck. If it can snipe out our Togepi's before we evolve them into the Togekiss, well, that's going to severely slow us down. So I hope that that's not the case. And again, not really sure what our opponent is trying to say. We're seeing 2 Zubats come out. Again, I'm not exactly all that thrilled seeing them come out. Those Zubats can give us a lot of difficulty when they do evolve into the Crobat eventually. And I think the opponent is trying to ask me if I'm from YouTube, and I'm just gonna answer them ahead of time and wish them good luck. So that's it. I just hope our opponent picks up their pace a little bit. They are going a little bit slow. Already we've seen a minute and 20 seconds go down the drain. So alright, we're finally seeing the Ultra Ball. I feel like our opponent is going to pick up the pace a little bit. Probably going to see another Zubat come out, or maybe the Landorus EX. I didn't get a good look at the opponent's deck breakdown, so I'm not entirely sure if they are running a Landorus EX Bat type deck. I've also been seeing an increase in the number of okay, so it looks like we're seeing the Phantom. Hopefully there's no Wally in there, guys, because that would slow us down tremendously. And awesome, looks like the opponent does not have the Wally, so I'm quite thankful for that. Let's go and attach a Fairy Energy card to the to our Gardevoir EX. I'm going to go and use the Ultra Ball, discard the colors from our hand, and the switch. Hopefully I don't regret it, but chances are we're probably going to get item locked for a good portion of the game, so I don't really think we're going to need the switch all that much. Alright, so let's go right ahead and bring out the Togepi. Then I'm going to go and use the N for some new cards in our hand. Nothing really useful. I think I'm simply going to end off our turn by using the Life Leap attack, hitting that Zubat for 20 damage. And unfortunately, that is how we're going to end the turn. I think the Trevenant is probably going to be the main attacker in our opponent's deck, unless he has some sort of switch Pokemon that he's going to constantly be attacking with and then switching out. We're probably going to see a barrage of lasers as well. Again, I'm not entirely sure how our opponent's deck is composed yet, so we are seeing the Crushing Hammers. The opponent is going to get the heads. Hopefully when we do lay down the Togekiss, guys, I'd love to be able to draw onto enough energy cards just to hit for a whole ton of damage. Alright, so let's go and start off by bringing out the Togetic, attach a Fairy Energy card to the Gardevoir EX. I think I'm actually going to go and use the VS Secret to grab onto Colress. I think it can come in handy later on. Again, I don't want the item lock to slow us down for the entire portion of the game. And then let's go and use the N for some new cards in our hand. Alright, so let's go and lay down that Togepi. Computer search, I mean, I do want to use the Ultra Ball. You know what, let's start off by laying down the Shaman EX and drawing onto some additional cards. Startling Megaphone, yeah, let's go and use it before we do get item locked. And I can use the Ultra Ball to grab onto the... should I grab on? You know what? I think I'm gonna go and grab onto another Shaman EX, guys. So let's go and use that Ultra Ball, get rid of a VS Seeker and a Fairy Energy card, and hopefully that Shaman EX will allow us to draw onto a Togekiss, or the Gardevoir Spirit Link and a Mega Gardevoir EX. Really hoping that we can actually bring out the Mega Gardevoir EX during this turn. Let's go and lay down that Shaman EX, draw onto some additional cards. Awesome, looks like we do have the Togekiss. Let's go and bring it out. Look at the top cards of our deck. Awesome, looks like we have 2 Fairy Energy cards. So now that Gardevoir EX is going to be able to dish out quite a bit of damage. We would have been able to get rid of our opponent's Zubat regardless, but nonetheless, it is out there. And I mean, I could give up some cards in our hand. You know what? I think I'm gonna keep the Computer Search in our hand for now, and the Skyfield as well, just to get rid of any Stadium cards our opponent may decide to lay out. And then let's go right ahead and use the Shining Wind, knock out our opponent's Zubat, and draw onto our very first prize card. Hopefully we can get down a couple more Gardevoir EXs and finally bring out the Mega Gardevoir EXs, which again are the stars of our deck. Trevenant is finally coming out. We are going to see that item lock. That Golbat as well. Unfortunately, it looks like the Togepi is probably going to get knocked out. Of course, if the opponent has an additional Psychic Energy card and decides to use his Tree Slam attack to inflict some damage as Togepi with respect to one of his Pokemon that he would like to attack. And yeah, it looks like the Togepi is probably going to lose its life during this turn. Not really sure if the opponent has the Psychic Energy card at hand just yet. And we are seeing the Dimension Valley. Not particularly useful, but again, that's why I did decide to hold on to the Skyfield for now, guys. We're seeing the VS Seeker. The opponent is probably going to use the Professor Juniper, and really hoping for that Psychic Energy card. Hopefully they don't get it. I'm really hoping that they don't get it. And okay, looks like they're going to be able to grab onto another Golbat. So if they want our Togepi dead, well, it's really going to go into the grave regardless of what we do. And okay, so the opponent probably has a Psychic Energy card, I'm thinking. Otherwise, I have absolutely no idea why he decided to inflict some damage on the Gardevoir EX with his Golbat, but we'll see how things go. Alright, so it looks like the opponent does not have a Psychic Energy card. I'm not really sure if that was a wise move on the opponent's part. He's going to hit our Gardevoir EX for 100 damage, quite a bit of damage, but luckily we are able to keep going for now. Alright, so I'm going to start off by laying down the Skyfield Stadium card. I could bring out the Mega Gardevoir EX, but it wouldn't really hit our opponent's Mewtwo EX for enough damage. So you know what, I think I'm going to go and start off by using the Ultra Ball to get rid of 2 cards in our hand and grab onto a Togekiss for now. I'm thinking, guys, if this is the right move. I mean, I could use the computer search. No, but I'm definitely going to have to use the Professor Juniper as well. Alright, so unfortunately it doesn't look like I'm going to be using the computer search. I'm really hoping that I am making the right move, guys. There's a whole lot of possibilities out there right now, but I think I'm simply going to bring out the Togekiss for now. Gonna get rid of the Fairy Energy card as well. I would like to bring out some other Gardevoir EXs and attach those energy cards to them. Let's go and use that Juniper for some new cards in our hand. And awesome, looks like we have another Gardevoir EX. We'll be attaching a Gardevoir Spirit Link to our benched Gardevoir EX. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like our active one will be evolving anytime soon. Let's go and lay down the Togekiss to look at some cards in our hand, and only a single energy card. Man, I'm not too pleased about that, but still, one is better than nothing. Let's go and attach another Fairy Energy card to the Gardevoir EX and take a look at my discard pile. No, I don't think there's anything I really need. Let's go and hit our opponent's Mewtwo EX for 100 damage, and yeah, unfortunately I think that is how we're gonna go and end the turn. We should be able to knock out our opponent's Mewtwo EX during our next turn, provided of course that he doesn't heal it or bring it back into their hand or something like that, or doesn't assault us with a barrage of hammers just to get rid of a whole ton of energy cards attached to our bench Gardevoir EX. Hoping that that's not the case. Trevenant looks like it can finally start attacking. Not really sure if our opponent's Mewtwo EX is though going to retreat. That definitely is a possibility though. Again, not entirely sure. I felt like the opponent was going to try and keep us under the item lock during the bulk of the game, but that doesn't really look like that is what's going to happen. So let's go and attach a Psychic Energy card, sorry, a Fairy Energy card to our Gardevoir EX. And awesome, looks like we do have the Mega Gardevoir EX, but you know what, guys? I think I'm gonna hold on. Well, you know what? I would have to discard it. I was thinking I could hold on to it and then evolve it in case we happen to get Hypnotoxic Lasered, but I don't actually see any in our opponent's deck. So you know what? Let's go right ahead and evolve it into the Mega Gardevoir EX. Use that Juniper for some new cards in our hand. Lay down a Gardevoir EX, the Skyfield Stadium card, another Togepi, and yeah, one more Gardevoir EX shouldn't really hurt us. In case we do need to discard some cards, we're gonna go right ahead and choose the Shaman EXs in case the opponent does get rid of the Skyfield. Let's go and use that Brilliant Arrow, knock out our opponent's Mewtwo EX, and then draw onto 2 prize cards. Awesome, looks like we've just been able to draw onto a Lysander, so I'm sure that could be quite nice and helpful in case I'd like to lure out any of our opponent's bench Pokemon and knock them out. Lysander is pretty much the only way to counter the Trevenant's Forest's Curse special ability, but I may just want to try and pound him instead. We can only hit for 90 damage right now though, guys. Unfortunately, we haven't been getting all that lucky with respects to the Togekisses, and we have quite a few of our energy cards into the discard pile. I think the opponent is probably going to use the Lysander's trump card sometime soon, I'm thinking. I mean, they've gone through quite a few cards in their deck as well. We've gone through quite a few in our deck as well though, so I'm not really sure how things are going to go from here on out. The Crobats are definitely stacking a whole ton of damage onto our Pokemon, so looks like the opponent is going to get rid of the Skyfield, so let's go and get rid of those 2 Shaman EXs. The Dimension Valley is going to come out into play. Not really sure what I would like to do right now, guys. I mean, the Mega Gardevoir EX should hopefully be able to survive, unless we see, of course, a Muscle Band and possibly the Golbat coming out as well. Awesome, looks like our Mega Gardevoir EX can now hit for 120 damage, so I'm very, very pleased about that. Let's go and attach that Fairy Energy card onto the benched Gardevoir EX, and then let's go on to knocking out our opponent's Trevenant and drawing onto an additional prize card. Didn't really want to use any of our supporter cards during that turn. I don't think it would have been all that wise of an option. Again, I'm really hoping that the Mega Gardevoir EX is able to survive, guys. I would like it to get rid of the Trevenant, but we may be seeing the knockout during this turn. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Currently, that Trevenant can only hit for 60 damage. I felt like the opponent would have been a lot wiser if he was using the Trevenant with a combination of lasers and the muscle bands, things like that. I feel like that would really significantly increase the potency of Trevenant, because I mean, putting your opponent under the item lock and poisoning them as well, and of course putting them to sleep, that's really devastating. I mean, that doesn't give them a whole lot of option to do a lot, and of course if you happen to put them under the sleep condition, then they can't do anything at all. So that's pretty much my sort of understanding of Trevenant as being a bit more of an effective Pokemon as with respect to what the opponent is using instead. But we'll see how things go. Alright, so I'm going to be knocking out our opponent's Trevenant during this turn. I think I'm going to hold off on the Sky Field for the time being. Let's go right ahead and use the Brilliant Arrow to knock out our opponent's Trevenant and then draw onto an additional prize card. And okay, so 2 Lysanders. We may just be seeing an N come out soon. The opponent might be using it. I should have actually gotten rid of that Dimension Valley. I felt like our opponent couldn't really make use of it except with his Trevenant, but looks like that was very foolish on my part. We're seeing the Crushing Hammers. Looks like he's going to be targeting our benched Gardevoir EX, getting rid of those energy cards. And we'll see how things go, guys. Yeah, that Crobat will definitely be able to knock out our Mega Gardevoir EX, so I should have made it my priority to get rid of the Dimension Valley, but I didn't, so that wasn't really all that bright of a choice on my part. Let's go and bring out the Gardevoir EX as our active Pokemon. Guys, I'm going to go and attach a Gardevoir Spirit Link to it, evolve it into the Mega Gardevoir EX, and then lay down the Sky Field, and I could use the N to reduce the number of cards in our opponent's hand. But do we have the Lysander's trump card? I'm not really sure. I don't think it's prized. I think it should be in our deck. So I'm going to take a risk and use the Juniper. Really hoping we don't regret it. Awesome. Looks like we do have a Lysander's trump card in our hand. So let's go and attach a Psychic Energy card to the Mega Gardevoir EX. And then end off our turn by evolving our benched Gardevoir EX into another Mega Gardevoir EX. I hope this is going to be our game, guys, but again, it looks like it's a very tight one. The opponent is probably going to try and pick off our benched Togekisses. The Trevenant is going to come out as our opponent's active Pokemon, and we are seeing the Starling Megaphone. I haven't really seen any of the Headringers, anything like that, so I'm not particularly worried that the Mega Gardevoir EXs don't really have any tool types attached to them, so I think we should be good to go for the most part. And looks like it's crunch time from now, so we'll see how things go. I'm going to go and attach another Fairy Energy card to the Mega Gardevoir EX, and of course I'm going to end off our turn by using the Lysander's Trump card. Don't want us to lose by decking out. Of course, once the Lysander's Trump card does get rotated, though, that will no longer be an option, guys, so just something to keep in mind. That's going to fundamentally affect how we play the game, and let's see what the opponent does. I'm probably going to use the Colorus during our next turn. Those Lysanders would have been really nice to keep in our hand, but again, we didn't really have any Fairy Energy cards attached to any of our Pokemon at that time, so I think that using the Juniper was a pretty wise option for the most part, just because we got to reuse the Lysander's Trump card and shuffle those energy cards back into our deck. The opponent has used the Wally. I don't think that will allow the Crobat to use their special ability. I'm not entirely sure. Let me just take a closer look, and yeah, so that so Wally, using the Wally to evolve into a Crobat is not really a wise option because it pretty much negates the Crobat special ability. Alright, so let's go and attach that Fairy Energy card to the Mega Gardevoir EX, use the Colress, and okay, so I'm gonna go and lay down another Gardevoir EX, lay down the Sky Field just to prevent our opponent from being able to attack with any of his Crobats, in case of course he does decide to retreat that Trevenant, and then let's go and use the Brilliant Arrow, hit our opponent for 90 damage, and end the turn. So it looks like the game can go either way right now, guys, but I feel like we have a bit of an advantage as opposed to the opponent. And yeah, it looks like we're probably going to see the Trevenant retreating and a Crobat coming out to hit us for some damage. So very close game. Those Trevenants certainly had been effective with respects to preventing us from making use of our item type cards. But again, the game could go either way. I'm going to have to retreat the Mega Gardevoir EX because I mean, I can't knock out our opponent's Crobat with a single attack. So let's go and attach a Fairy Energy card to the benched Gardevoir EX. I'm going to go and attach the Gardevoir Spirit Link onto him as well. And again, I will be retreating I don't have any Lysanders in the discard pile, unfortunately, or otherwise we would have been able to win during this turn. So let's go and use the Ultra Ball to get rid of 2 cards in our hand, and I'm gonna look for the Shaman EX, really hoping to grab onto a Lysander, guys. Shaman EX may just allow us to win this game, and let's see what we're able to draw into. Awesome, a computer search, so it looks like we are gonna be able to win, guys. A very close game. I have to give that to our opponent, and I'm just gonna tell them GG. And yeah, so that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And yeah, so I will see you guys next time.